I gotta let this go, because if I don't let this go, it's going to cripple me for the rest of my life. It's gonna affect the way I love my children. It's gonna affect the way I love the husband that deserves to be loved by me. It's gonna affect the way I.
Well, welcome everybody. This is Dr. Sims, host of the Dr. Sims Show. This is season 2, episode 3, and I have a wonderful young lady with me. We met on TikTok, and she's doing big things on TikTok. She is founder of a brand entitled Men Are Not the Enemy. And so she has lovers as well as haters. And it's from both sex, the men and the women. So I'm going to let her go into all of that. So without any further ado, Miss Jane. All right. Good evening, Miss Jane. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Hey, everybody. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, you are not by yourself. I'm just honored that you want to be on the Dr. Sims Show, because I see you appearing on a lot of different shows now. And I am just, when I saw you on the last talk show that you on, I said, oh, she got to come on my show. She got to come on my show. Well, introduce yourself to everybody real quick.
So my name is Jane McMillan. I'm the founder of Men Are Not the Enemy. I believe in second chances, third chances, especially when it pertains to marriage. I'm all about standing in a gap and bringing positive light back to men.
Amen. So what kind of reception are you getting? And talk about the reception you're getting from men, and then talk about the reception that you're getting from women.
So men absolutely love me. They love what I'm doing. Yes, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to be encouraged and to be acknowledged by men. The women, on the other hand, they're slowly coming around, but they really do give me a very hard time.
Okay, unpack that a little bit before we talk about that introductory TikTok that I played. So you said some women, we won't say all, some women are giving you a hard time. Unpack that for us. What does that even look like?
So hold on. Sorry if I was loud.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're perfect.
Okay, so just for an example, if I say, when I say men are not the enemy in front of a woman, it doesn't even have to be a crowd of a woman. If I just say men are not the enemy, they're like, oh, girl, yes, they are, girl. Yes, they are. I can't. Yes, they are. All of them. They all dogs. No. And then, of course, that's when I go into doing what I do. Right. But yeah, especially brown women. Brown women are literally they don't like me. Not all of them, but most of them.
So what's your vision? First of all, let's start here. What was your motivation to start, for the lack of a better word, this movement? What was your inspiration?
Okay, hopefully I have enough time. I'm gonna try to make this short and sweet. Okay. So I have a testimony. So I have 2 children.
Yes,
I have my daughter and a son. My daughter was taken by her father. Sorry, her father took her when she was like 2 years old and disappeared.
Okay.
After I wanted to end the relationship. I was never married. I wanted to end the relationship. He didn't want to end the relationship, but I ended it anyway. So I'm 36. You're talking like 21, 22 years old. I was. Wow. So long story short, because I was separating from him, he got the mental trauma started to kick in, because he never knew his father. He wasn't raised by his father. He didn't really know his dad or whatnot. So when he and I split, his fear of never being in his daughter's life kicked in. So originally we had an agreement, and then so the agreement was that my daughter would stay with him until I at the time I was moving to another city. Yeah. I was going to get my new job. I was going to get an apartment. So I said, okay, take care of our daughter for, until I get on my feet. And then once I get myself set up, I'll come back to get her. Yeah. Well, long story short, when it was time for me to come back to get her, he was like, nah. No, I'm good, because I don't want it to be where he never sees his daughter again. And so since he said that, well, that made me go into defense mode. And I said, well, and mind you, I'm young. So I said, well, the next time I get her, then you won't see her again. And then that's when he went into like, yeah, because he was putting me into the mindset of, okay, you don't want me to see my daughter for your fear. And then I'm telling him, okay, so when I do see her, then I'm gonna keep her from you since you're trying to take her away from me, because we had an agreement.
Right.
So long story short, as I was going through that, right, it took me 4 years to find her. I found her at age 7. So that first year was my year of horror. That was when I was angry. I was crying all the time. I was mad at God. Oh my God, I was mad at God. I was so mad at God. I had a beef with God. So anyway, Men Are Not the Enemy came about after recently, I asked God to show me who my audience is for, because before it was just positive influencer Jane. It was just positive influencer Jane. I didn't really have no niche. And then I asked God, I said, God, reveal to me who you want me to reach. So I thought about my testimony, and I thought about like the what could actually solve all of this stuff. And God gave me Men Are Not the Enemy, because I had to when I went through my healing process, it took me a year. And then after that, it took me a year to focus on my healing. And then once I focused on my healing, then it was done. And then, those 3 years was bliss after that. But anyway, what I'm getting at is, I too had to recognize that just because I had a not so good experience with a male does not mean every single man is my enemy. And so when you look at men and women, when we separate the two, the common denominator is man. Women benefit extremely from man, and man benefits from man. So men are not the enemy. That's when people people resonate with that, especially because God called man to be head, so it all makes sense. So when people resonate with that, I think people, it will bring forth a healing start of a journey, so that people can, set themselves free of anger and pain and all that stuff.
We're going to run to a quick break. And I want to know how you and God got back on talking terms. And then we're going to talk about your vision. And then we're going to talk about this fiance that wants an expensive wedding. She ain't worried about the marriage. She just wants an expensive wedding. So y'all hold tight, and we'll be right back with Miss Jane. Y'all hold tight. We'll be right back.
Okay.
I want you to know I am so excited about this Sync Wire product, the car wireless FM transmitter. I set it up yesterday, real easy setup, and I called one of my colleagues on the phone through the transmitter, through the FM transmitter, and we were talking, and I said, Coach Angel, can you hear me okay? And she said, Dr. Sims, you sound clear as a bell. And I'm just telling you, I'm so excited because I do a lot of communicating in my car, and most states now are hands-free. And so this allows me to be on the phone, drive hands-free, without any complication. So you need to do yourself a favor. If you're like me and you pretty much spend a lot of time in your car, you need this SyncWire product. And remember, as I always say, if you stay high on life, life is going to stay high on you.
If you would like to support the Dr. Sims Show, send your donations to Cash App $Walter H. Sims. And remember, we stay high on life.
All right, welcome back, everybody.
I love it.
I don't play. They kicked me out of first grade because I didn't.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Well, thank you, my friend.
I love it.
So before we went to break, you mentioned that you had a beef with God for a minute, but how did you and God get back on talking terms?
Oh my gosh. I remember this day like it was yesterday. Okay. I was sitting in the Pentecostal church, and God just told me, just get up. Okay. Get up in the middle of the service. And at that time the pastor was preaching. Okay. And I got up in the middle of the service, and I went into the corner farthest to my right, and I just lifted my hands. I didn't, because Pentecostal is strict. They strict folks. Oh, yeah. They have order. They have order. So I was like, you know what? I don't care if the ushers try to kick me out because I'm standing up. I don't care if he calls me out asking me. I don't care. I have to set myself free. So I went into this corner of the church in my far right. And I just lifted my hands, and I just said, you know what, God, I'm done. I'm done being angry. I'm done being I'm done being tired. I'm done being hateful. I'm done not being happy. I'm done not having joy in my heart. I am done blaming everybody. I am done. And I promise you, from that day, because I made that decision, that's why I'm always talking about power of the mind with men on my platform, because it literally all starts in the mind.
That's right.
But so once I stopped playing with it and I said it and I meant it, it became alive. And after that, it was joy abundantly. I literally asked God out of my mouth to replace my pain with joy. That was I said that out loud.
Come on.
Yeah. And so, and that's exactly what he did. And after that, nobody knew that I was going through what I was going through. Nobody knew if I had a daughter. Nobody knew I had a child. They was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're going through that, and you happy, and you look at." I'm like, "Yeah,
I'm happy.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
happy. I'm happy
yeah,
with Jesus alone. I'm happy. I'm happy.
yeah,
I'm so
yep,
proud. I'm so proud of you and
yeah,
for you. So what's your vision with Men Are Not the Enemy? Because when you and I first met, you were working on putting together like a conference in Atlanta.
yeah,
But
yeah.
what's your vision with Men Are Not the Enemy?
I want to be internationally known. I see myself just blessing the stages of so many places, not just on mainstream like all these things. Yes, I definitely want to be on the Steve Harvey show. Yes, but aside from that, but aside from that, I see myself going to jails, prisons, talking to men. I see myself going to young male groups, inspiring the young men. I see myself even because I do have a dating show as well.
Yeah,
so I see myself. Yeah. So I just see myself. I had a vision of being maybe like a marriage counselor. But underneath that whole umbrella is just helping people in the area of love. And wherever that takes me, I'm open to it. But I do have my own personal goals because I do want to be internationally known as a speaker. That's what I want to do.
So what are you seeing as, what are those women, especially the brown people, what's their biggest argument against us? What's the biggest battle you battle when you go to bat for us men, especially black men? What's the biggest knock against us?
I have two.
Okay.
One is that y'all cheat. They believe y'all all cheat, and they believe, yeah, they do. They this is real. Okay. They believe y'all all cheat, and they believe that they all leave their kids. Well, not all, but the majority of them believe that y'all just make kids and leave them.
Yeah. Well, I heard something on TikTok, and the young lady quoted what a young man said. The young man said, if a woman likes you enough, she'll lie to herself. You don't have to lie to her. She'll lie to herself. So if that's women's argument, why do they fall for the okie doke then? Let me play devil's advocate. Since you know I'm going to cheat, why do you fall for the okie doke and get surprised when I cheat?
You know what? That right there is that's a new thing that I'm teaching. Okay. I did an interview with the gentleman, which I think you saw the clip. But anyway, I did an interview with another gentleman, and I said, like, cheating is not the worst thing that can happen. Right. Cheating is not the worst thing that can happen in a relationship. Right. Now, when I said that, the crowd went wild. Oh my God, I can't believe she just said that. But I'm like, no, hear me out. Hear me out. If the statistics show that the divorce rate is so high, then can't we conclude that, yes, the divorce rate is so high, but why are people divorcing? It's either money problems or it's infidelity, right? So then when it comes to the infidelity part, okay, if the majority struggle with infidelity, then it's going to be safe to say, whether or not you want to hear the truth, it's going to be safe to say that more than likely you're going to be in a relationship in which you possibly can be cheated on. So at the end of the day, I'm not saying that I am for cheating, people. No, that's not what I'm saying.
But come on.
Right. But I'm saying that if it's going to happen, are you prepared since you already know what is possible?
Right.
Are you prepared for it? So then that's when it comes down to, I tell people, if you haven't fathomed every possible scenario that can happen before you said I do, then you have no business getting married. Because when you say those vows, God intended that to be forever, forever, ever, forever, ever, forever.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. So let's introduce this clip again at the beginning of the show. Let's
do it.
This clip again. I'm going to play a little bit of it, and that'll refresh your memory. But I want you to talk about it. Let me play a little bit.
Okay. Okay.
But I gotta let this go, because if I don't let this go, it's going to cripple me for the rest of my life. It's gonna affect the way I love my children. It's gonna affect the way I love the husband that deserves to be loved by me. It's gonna affect the way how I treat people in my workspace, whether or not I have an.
Well, so this young lady said, if you can't afford my big wedding, I'm just gonna end the engagement right now. Kind of talk about that a little bit. Where did that even come from?
So this was a clip that I saw on Facebook, I believe.
Okay.
Or whatever platform. It was on some platform.
Okay.
And basically the guy and his fiance were speaking. And so the guy pulled out his phone. That's why it was at that angle, because he had his phone in his hand recording.
Okay.
And so he was having a conversation about their wedding. And basically the woman was saying, like, now I didn't watch the whole thing because I'm very careful what I allow in my ears.
Of course.
But in a nutshell, what I did hear was the woman was saying, the man was saying, so you're not going to marry me unless the wedding is all out. And she was like, yeah. And then he was like, why? And she was like, because I deserve to have a big wedding. Like,
wow.
That's what it's supposed to be about. If you don't give me the type of wedding I want, then we're not getting married. And he was like, wow, really? And she's like, really? So yeah, that's what that stemmed from.
My Lord. And it's amazing how, and I mean, that's real. We can't make this stuff up.
Yeah.
I love saying
No.
that on TikTok. We
yes.
can't make this up. So what's your opinion about that? You see, men, we have a hard time. She was more interested in a date, because the wedding is really not for you and your fiance. It's for everybody that's in attendance. You know, you trying to impress folks that you probably never see again, you know?
Right.
And you're spending, I talked to a wedding planner. She said people spend upwards $20,000-$30,000 on a wedding, and they think nothing. And that's why I wrote my book, We Are Engaged Now What? Because she said people don't plan for the marriage.
Yes.
You're planning for a day
Mm-hmm.
together. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
that was good.
Yeah. So
that was good.
What kind of advice are you giving the men to keep us encouraged, and not just to say forget the women? Well, let me ask it this way: how successful is your dating show?
You want to go there?
Let's go.
Okay, so short and sweet. So I just recently started the show, so I've only because then I got banned on TikTok, so then I had 1 week where I had to down. But the match that I was more excited about.
Okay.
The match that Pastor, it was beautiful. And for the people watching, I call him Pastor. You guys know him by Dr. Walter Sim. Yeah. So I call him Pastor. That's who I'm referring to. So it was a beautiful thing. So, okay. Come to find out, the woman that I matched, I went to school with her.
Really?
I went to school with her. Yeah. So on TikTok, they profile pictures are like this small.
Right.
So I didn't know who the woman was until she actually came up on camera, and I was like, oh my God, like I remember you from school. So I had I had vouched for the brother, because I'm like, bro, I remember her from school. She's always been a bubbly, smiley person. She's always smiling, always such a joy to be around. That's what I remember her from school. So now I'm 36. Now we're grown. And when she came on the platform, immediately it was the same spirit. I'm connected to the divine. Wow. So, you know, when you have spirit of discernment, you can pick up on people's spirit. Right. So I was complimenting her that, man, you're just as the same beautiful woman, a young girl that you was as a woman. So anyway, Pastor, all that got done. The guy, because On my show, it's driven by me. The men get to make the decisions. So so he came up first, and then he gets to So we're not matching the women. We're matching the men. The men are the ones that come on the platform to look for the woman, right?
Understand.
So 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 Pastor, we did the whole show. I asked them both questions.
Right.
He asked her questions. She asked him questions. I ended up praying over them. God told me just to pray over them. I had never done that before. I had never prayed over a couple before.
How about that?
And so, but the man, the next day, or no, not the next day, because she said they had talked for a couple of days or whatever. But anyway, hold on.
Uh-oh.
Come to find out, the same guy was on TikTok on another dating show, Pastor.
You better hush your fuss. You better hush your fuss.
On another dating show. So her and I are classmates. So we had exchanged numbers that day when she came on my show. So now her and I are in contact. So she texted me and said, "You're not gonna believe this. I just saw so and so on the TikTok dating show." And he was speaking to some African woman, saying that he was going to move to Africa and marry her and treat her like a queen. And he loves black queens because the woman that I met, she's not black. She's Spanish. So he was saying that he loves black queens. Yeah. So then, so the guy was trying to help me get her back, but she said, "Jane, God already showed me I got to move on." So I said, "Dang." So that didn't really end well, but I'm still 10 toes down on men are not the enemy.
The upside of that is she found out sooner than later.
Facts.
Well, maybe you're gonna have to vet the men a little bit better and vet them a little bit. Really nail down what they are looking for.
You're right.
Make sure that you got a good sample. You know what I'm saying? Well,
you're right.
I'm proud of you. You're doing it big, girl. So again,
thank you.
Reiterate. What's your vision? Are you looking for sponsors? What's your again? Outline your vision for Men Are Not the Enemy, because I see you blowing up, my friend.
Yeah. The long-term goal, of course, like I want a book that I have a book. I'm writing a book that I want to put out eventually.
Okay.
I have a idea for a like a planner for men.
Okay.
But overall, yes, I definitely need sponsors. First of all, I need what I really want to do is take this thing to the next level and get on YouTube, because right now I'm just on TikTok.
Okay.
And Pastor, we don't make that much money on TikTok, and I'm dedicated.
True.
The other day I was on TikTok live for 7 hours straight.
Wow.
And so, so the goal is to do this for a living. The word says to use your gifts and talents for the increase. So I want to use my gift for a living. And so, it starts with the podcast, just getting my podcast 100% up to date, which, I'm going to need equipment. I'm going to need, I need a laptop. I need a computer, all that good stuff. But again, like in a nutshell, I just see myself on different platforms. That's as far as my vision. That's how far I've gone. I haven't really I haven't really seen beyond me just being on different platforms speaking.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
that's good stuff. Well, how can people check out Men Are Not the Enemy? Where can they find you?
So I'm majority on TikTok. The TikTok is She Is Jane, no spaces. She Is Jane, SHEISJANE on TikTok. I do lives Monday through Friday, every morning at 9 a.m. I do a short discussion, and then I pray for the men. I pray for the men every morning, 9 a.m.
Okay.
And then nightly 8 p.m. I am on TikTok Live, Central Time. So you can find me on TikTok, or you can find me on YouTube. Men Are Not the Enemy. All you have to do is write in the hashtag Men Are Not the Enemy. I'm on Instagram, Men Are Not the Enemy. My email, Men Are Not the Enemy podcast.com. Everything Men Are Not the Enemy. So Yeah, there you have. And I also have a brand. So if you want to support what I'm doing, if you want to show love through a t-shirt or through the his and her, I have his and her stuff for the married folks, or maybe you're dating. I have father son t-shirts to match that says it starts with me, which is the first line of my son's affirmations. So I just have a lot of things going on the website that you guys can definitely check out.
I am so proud of you. Well,
I'm trying.
I will see you on TikTok, and we need to talk offline because we got to get you all certified and everything.
Okay.
I got you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Pastor.
Appreciate you being here, y'all. We're fixing to run to a quick break, and we'll be right back, okay?
I want you to know I am so excited about this ENCORE product, the car wireless FM transmitter. I set it up yesterday, real easy setup, and I called one of my colleagues on the phone through the transmitter, through the FM transmitter, and we were talking. I said, Coach Angel, can you hear me okay? And she said, Dr. Sims, you sound clear as a bell. And I'm just telling you, I'm so excited because I do a lot of communicating in my car, and most states now are hands-free. And so this allows me to be on the phone, drive hands-free, without any complication. So you need to do yourself a favor. If you're like me and you pretty much spend a lot of time in your car, you need this ENCORE product. And remember, as I always say, if you stay high on life, life is going to stay high on you.
Hey, as you saw at the top of the hour, we played a clip. Jane's touched on a little bit, and she saw this on Facebook. This young lady pretty much threatened her fiance that she would end the engagement if he did not promise to make sure she had a upscale, over the top wedding. And he was pretty flabbergasted. He's like, "Are you serious?" And she was like, "Oh, I deserve the best." While that may very well be true, it is your day as a woman. The wedding is all about you. But as a pastor, I've done upwards of, I'm going to just be very generous. I've done 15 to 20 weddings. And start to finish, the ceremony itself, it might be 35 minutes from start to finish. If it's pretty, if it's well oiled, I'll just say an hour. I'll just round up since I'm an engineer. I used to be an engineer. You want to spend, and I've talked to a wedding planner, you want to spend, and this is very, very, very simple. You want to spend $20,000 to $30,000 on an hour, and we're pledging our love for a lifetime. I've been married before. This is my second marriage. First marriage it was an expense. It wasn't too over the top. But bills still remain after that day. And I'm just going to leave you with this question. If you're in the planning stages of your wedding, what about the day after? What about the life after? We have to live. And are you really saying you're very materialistic? Are you telling me something I need to know? Because there's no price that you can put on peace. Okay? And so that's why I've gotten, I wrote a devotional or a workbook. We are engaged now, for that said wedding planning I referred to a moment ago. And I work with my couples that I'm going to marry. I work with them and we go through my workbook. We are engaged now, because you need to make sure, both parties need to make sure they're on the same page. But anyway, like I always say, those are my 2 cents. All right, everybody, thank you for being here. This has been season 2, episode 3 with Jane McMillan. I hope y'all enjoyed the show, and I'm glad we as men, we have an advocate. And remember, as I always say, we stay high on life. See you next episode.